Well, look at Ron Paul. I mean, he says cut off foreign aid to everybody. We are going bankrupt, and they call him an anti-Semite, though he wants to cut it off to Africa. He wants to cut it off to Egypt. He wants to cut it off to Iraq. We can't pay this bill anymore. And the fact that whenever somebody says, look, we need to stop being involved in all of these wars, we need to stop doing this, and the ADL and Southern Poverty Law Center come out and attack me when I am mild on this, because I'm just trying to bring everybody together to audit the Fed, to get the Federal Reserve out of here, to get the 17th Amendment overturned, to get rid of the income tax. There's no doubt you get savaged when you even mildly criticize. So I can't imagine what it's been like for you. Let's briefly, because we're going to break here in about 4 minutes, talk about what happened to you in prison, because, I mean, you're a tough guy. You're not whining about it on air now, but they treated you like hell, I saw on the news.
Alex, the first place I went was 50% illegal immigrants. And keep this in mind for the people of Texas specifically. Jim Traficant was a congressman who passed on the House floor utilizing our soldiers on our border. You know, we're guarding the borders in the Mideast, we're guarding borders all over the world. Our troops are going for lunch over in Italy and going for the theater in Germany, and our borders are wide open. See, I was labeled a bigot because here's my position on immigration, Alex. Number one, let's put our troops on the border. It's a national security check line. And if you're in America illegally, you should be thrown the hell out, not given health care and given a false...
Well, that's what Mexico does to us. Mexico treats American citizens like trash and shakes them down.
Hey, listen, here's the way I feel. If you're an American citizen, I don't care what ethnic group you are, you're one of us. But if you're not, you got to be thrown the hell out of here. Now, both these parties are catering to a growing minority Hispanic vote. It's getting larger in America. It is larger than the black vote. And both these parties are giving them everything they want. Meanwhile, you got a healthcare system out of control. You got approximately 15 million, truth be known, illegal immigrants consuming welfare and different programs in this country with falsified documents. And neither party's dealing with it.
Congressman, let me stop you. I got a guy that worked at Austin Energy here, and I already knew this. It's 800-plus sanctuary cities. But the illegals get a fake consular matricula. They pay a $200 down payment, or $250 depending on the size of the contract, to get their power and light turned on. Then they never pay the bill. He said over 90% of the time. And then a new matricula comes up in 6 months when they turn the power off. And they were told in Austin Energy meetings, let them not pay. And it's the same thing. Drunk drivers, they get let go. Everything. But citizens are scum and trash. And so the average illegal's on 3 or 4 different welfare lines.
Alex, it's so out of hand that it's a joke, and it takes me to the national health care bill. My God, America needs a health care bill, but there's deserving people who need some assistance. But you've got about 15 million illegal immigrants who are going to be involved in this thing, and the American people are bankrupted. We've already destroyed companies and thrown them out. It's driven them away. We're going to destroy more. I don't think there's any common sense right now in Washington, and I think Washington is manipulated, and Washington is obstructed by outside forces and being very much manipulated. But having said that, let me get back to the prison. The first place I went to, Alex, had 50% illegal immigrants, and they knew that I was the guy that said throw them the hell out. I slept with one eye open. The next thing you know, I'm at a medium high, which was known as Gladiator School up in Raybrook, people getting cut and hurt every particular day. There was a counselor in the system, I won't say where, that told me when I first went in, he said, listen, my mother's your biggest fan. Be careful, they want you to get hurt. The next thing you know, I'm at a medium high, and the truth be known, one more little infraction, I'd be at a penitentiary. A penitentiary. And the reason I end up in Rochester is they told me that I had a corkscrew aorta. And they told me I had this corkscrew aorta, and I would not take medication, Alex, because I didn't trust them. And I end up in Rochester, and then they said I didn't have a corkscrew aorta. Just let me tell you something. I believe that our government was hoping I would have died in prison and would not have come out.
Okay, Congressman, we got a break. Come back right there and continue with the saga of your years of imprisonment, and we will continue breaking down why you were persecuted and now your comeback kid status. We want today to get people to support you, get you back on your feet, and launch as an independent, because you certainly are a maverick. If you want to support Mr. Traficant so he can get back on his feet and then get justice and go after the criminals that put him in prison, but that's how they bankrupt you so you can't defend yourself. It's 429 North Main Street. 429 North Main Street. And that's Poland, like the country. 429 North Main Street, Poland, Ohio, 44514. So here's the address again. 429 North Main Street, Poland, Ohio, 44514. And I've studied his case. I've also studied Governor Don Siegelman's case. And back at the time when they railroaded him, we looked at it and said this is completely staged. Turned out U.S. prosecutors that worked for Karl Rove, he ordered it. They've testified to this now. Get him. They kept coming after him, investigation after investigation, all made up, lying. Then they threatened to indict one of his employees for something totally separate outside the Capitol and said, lie about him, we won't send you to prison. Basically, same thing happened to Mr. Traficant, Don Siegelman. Now, he got out after 9 months. It has been vindicated, and it's admitted it was a fraud. He was going to serve a decade, not with Traficant. He was there 7.5 years, and they told him, and he'll talk about this in a moment, anytime you say you're guilty, we'll let you go. Now, so first they try to pull some medical scams on him. They put him in with the illegal aliens. They put him into gladiator school, medium, maximum security, high security. Continue, Congressman Traficant, with what happened to you in prison.
Well, at some particular point, you know, you made the statement that you have to stand on your own 2 feet and you have to be prepared for almost anything. And I had an awful lot of enemies in the prison system, and I didn't know exactly who or how someone might come at you. So you sleep with one eye open, Alex. But the bottom line was that I not only did that I developed what I consider to be a firm resolve. And one thing Nelson Mandela said, you never really know a country unless you go through their prison system. And that's one thing he was exactly right about. You see the other side of the United States of America. We've got such crippling problems. But I survived. I was not afraid to survive. I told them where they could shove that pardon, because I certainly wasn't going to admit to something that I didn't do. But very few people know is that before that trial, the Northern District Court, federal court system of Ohio, passed a rule that if you got a judge from a particular area, you got a jury from that area. And it would become the Traficant rule, because basically nobody in my congressional district was eligible to serve on my jury. Second of all, the judge made my witnesses testify in open court under the threat of perjury to her outside the presence of a jury, and they told her the truth. No one was charged for perjury, but she did not allow them to testify to the jury. And 4 of those people said that of the 7 people who testified against me, they had admitted to somebody close or whomever who had confided in me that they lied so they wouldn't go to prison themselves or have their wife indicted or their kids indicted or their company taken away, et cetera, et cetera. 4 of the 7, she didn't allow it to go to the jury. Now we find out after the trial was over that one of the key witnesses against me, who was perjured himself in my trial because he was caught perjuring himself in a previous trial, that the judge's husband had a relationship business-wise with that family. I mean, this thing, it was so abusive that it speaks out. But when you're the number 1 target of the Justice Department, the number 1 target of the American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee, Alex, you have nowhere to turn. You've got to stand on your own 2 feet and hopefully outlive it and come back and try and do what you can about it.
Now, Congressman, let's break this down, though. The type of threats you got when you were in Congress, and how you got set up. There's this crisis of confidence now because police all over the country, in every major city of Texas, just as an example, have been caught planting drugs on people to take their property. It's now standard procedure. They admit they have informants lie on the stand about political enemies they have. I mean, they can put anybody they want in prison, but the public now knows it's a fraud. It's like the death penalty. I'm for the death penalty at a grassroots level if they catch somebody who's murdered a kid. The problem is more than 1/3 of those on death row, it's been proven with DNA, are totally innocent. We know that the system is so corrupt you can't trust anything they say or do. But briefly, because I remember seeing it in the news, the hell in the 7.5 years, I know as a man you don't like to talk about what happened to you. You just want to be tough and ignore it. But people need to know the type of persecution. I mean, tell us more of what happened in prison.
Well, you're under constant threat. With me, I did months and months after end in the hole in isolation because they said my attitude. But basically they were trying to break me. And I survived all that time in prison. I never even acknowledged the presence of any of the wardens. I couldn't tell you their names. I just kept them.
Hold on a minute. Let's go back over this. So explain it. They said some little punk jail guard, some sadist, has this congressman, this icon, and they're telling you, I don't like your attitude, boy. You're going to spend how long in the hole?
Well, they find out, or use little maneuvers that they have. But I believe I spent close to 7 months in the hole over a period of time. And that's in the hole means that you get a shower every second day, 3 times a week. You get to go out 1 hour a day. And I tell you the truth, Alex, I never left the place. I became very hardened. I think that they looked at me and they said, this guy is very hard, because I didn't give a damn about anything. I forfeited my life.
There's no doubt you get savaged when you even mildly criticize. So I can't imagine what it's been like for you. Let's briefly, because we're going to break here in about 4 minutes, talk about what happened to you in prison, because, I mean, you're a tough guy. You're not whining about it on air now, but they treated you like hell, I saw on the news.
Alex, the first place I went was 50% illegal immigrants. And keep this in mind for the people of Texas specifically.
Off to Iraq, we can't pay this bill anymore. And the fact that whenever somebody says, look, we need to stop being involved in all these wars, we need to stop doing this, and the ADL and Southern Poverty Law Center come out and attack me when I am mild on this, because I'm just trying to bring everybody together to audit the Fed, to get the Federal Reserve out of here, to get the 17th Amendment overturned, to get rid of the income tax. Well, look at Ron Paul. I mean, he says cut off foreign aid to everybody. We are going bankrupt, and they call him an anti-Semite, though he wants to cut it off to Africa. He wants to cut it off to Egypt. He wants to cut it